always say, every day is for the thief, one day for the owner of the house. But ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, has reversed the role. It is now every day for the owner of the house. If you're involved in bribery, over-invoicing, or any shady deal, the day of reckoning has come. ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, is watching you. If you're reported for any corrupt practice, you'll be investigated, prosecuted, and punished. Corruption is harmful to our nation. Join the campaign against it by reporting any corrupt practice to ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission.
Let we join hands with ICPC, make them better. Let's make Nigeria great again. ICPC, they watch you. Hand for corruption.
Break the chain of corruption now. Don't give, don't take. This message is brought to you by ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission.
Corrupt practices and other related offenses have been in existence right from the formative stages of human society, and the high level of corruption vices explains much of Nigeria's socio-economic and political problems. As Nigerians celebrate the 2023 National Independence Anniversary, Corruption Must Go attempts to give an overview of the 63-year journey of fighting corruption in the nation through the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offenses Commission, ICPC. Welcome to Corruption Must Go. I am Hawasani Garba, your anchor for today's edition.
Fellow Nigerians, do you know that constituency projects are actually your projects? Do you know that constituency projects are funded by the federal government? Do you know that you can track release of constituency project funds for projects located in your constituency and follow up to know how they have been executed? Constituency projects happen because government does not want to leave any community out in development efforts. You have a responsibility to know what constituency project has been planned for your community, how much has been allocated for it, and whether value for money has been delivered. Take ownership of constituency projects located in your community. Protect them because they belong to you. Government knows about your needs and is planning for you. Government needs your help to ensure quality delivery. Know that constituency projects are actually your projects. Protect your constituency project. My constituency, my project.
For information on funds allocated to projects in your constituency, call 0800-2255-4272.
This message is from the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offenses Commission and the National Orientation Agency.
Welcome back. The fight against corruption agenda has been at the forefront of national discourse in Nigeria since independence from Britain in October 1960. Almost all the regimes that have come to power in Nigeria strongly condemned corruption, while also prescribing different measures against it. In 1962, just 2 years after our independence, a commission of inquiry, popularly known as the Justice Coker Commission, revealed how political corruption flourished in Nigeria, with glaring cases of mismanagement, tribalism, and nepotism as some of the reasons cited for the first military intervention. Additional efforts against corruption over the years were the purge of the civil service by the military regime headed by General Murtala Muhammad. The ethical revolution of the Shagari administration came before the war against indiscipline of the Buhari regime. The mass mobilization for socio-economic recovery, MAMSA, of Babangida's regime, and the war against indiscipline and corruption of the Abacha regime. However, despite all these anti-corruption programs, the level of corruption in the society continued to make development an unattainable goal for Nigeria and generally endangering the delivery of good governance. This justified the establishment of ICPC by the Obasanjo administration in the Fourth Republic, which marked a transitional phase in the official campaign against corruption. How did the ICPC come about in view of the following efforts by the government? How is the Commission achieving this objective? ICPC spokesperson Mrs. Azuka Ogugwa sheds more light. After all the efforts to fight corruption in the country had failed, the administration of former President Olusegun Obasanjo in the year 2000 passed the first executive bill to the National Assembly, and that was a bill to establish the ICPC. The ICPC bill at that time was different from all the other attempts in that it had a three-pronged approach to the fight against corruption. Enforcement, which meant sanctions, imposing sanctions on people, enforcement, then corruption prevention. We have a strong mandate for corruption prevention, and then public enlightenment and education. This three-pronged approach was the first time that the fight against corruption actually had bite, not just a back. It had a bite, and then it had the aspect of preventing corruption, because corruption will be reduced if it does not even have the opportunity to take place at all. ICPC has been fighting corruption by, first of all, taking petitions from the public, members of the public, receiving petitions, and also intelligence from different sources, then investigating these petitions and finding out if they find there's any prima facie case established, any fact within the petitions received, then prosecuting offenders in court. We have won quite a number of cases, especially among public servants, in this way. The second way we have been succeeding is through some of our initiatives for corruption prevention. Some of these initiatives include the establishment of anti-corruption and transparency units in MDAs. Some of them include system study and review of the practices, procedures, and systems of MDAs and government bodies, public bodies, to see whether there are areas that give rise to fraud or corruption. And when we find these areas, we direct and supervise a review of such flawed systems. The third way in which ICPC is working is by mobilizing the public through different initiatives. We have outreaches directed at the youths, those in schools, secondary schools, tertiary institutions, and those doing their NYSC. And then we have a lot of programs targeted to public servants. We have a lot of programs targeted to those at the community level using civil society organizations. Then there are other initiatives to make sure that government is getting value for money. One of them is the Constituency and Executive Project Tracking Initiative. This initiative makes the Commission to go down to the grassroots where legislators have voted and supported and sponsored legislations to put some projects in the budget for their constituencies. There are so many other things ICPC is involved in. One of them is stopping illicit financial flows from the country. We are the Secretariat on the Interagency Committee on Stopping Illicit Financial Flows from Nigeria. And as the Secretariat, we work with other agencies to make sure that the issue of money laundering is reduced. Some money laundering takes place through tax evasion and trade misinvoicing and all of that, through commercial activities, not so much through corrupt practices. We are working with other agencies, and we have developed guidelines for some of these operations, so that our negotiators, so that private sector operatives can make sure that we stop funds from flowing out of Nigeria and Africa to other jurisdictions. Another major initiative of the Commission is the National Ethics and Integrity Policy. The core values of the National Ethics and Integrity Policy include human dignity, voice and participation, patriotism, personal responsibility, integrity, national unity, and professionalism. There are 7 of them. So what we are trying to do is that, based on these core values, which derive from the Constitution, the ICPC Act, the NOA Act, and other relevant codes of ethics of professional bodies, that every Nigerian should subscribe to these values. As Nigeria marks another birthday, the Corruption Must Go crew went into town to speak to some Nigerians on their assessment of the fight against corruption and their suggestions going forward. Take a listen to what they have to say.
With the kind of inflation and what has been going on in this administration, I think we might have an increase in corruption in Nigeria. So my suggestion is, I think the government should consider taking steps to reduce the inflation that has been caused by the recent fuel subsidy removal, and make sure people have what they want, because it might lead to increase in corruption.
To me, corruption in Nigeria is really increasing. In the first of all, what is corruption? Corruption is using your office for your personal gain. That's the simplest definition of what corruption is. You have been given an opportunity to do something and you use it for your own personal gain. Corruption is really increasing in Nigeria in every aspect of life, be it in the aspect of employment, in the aspect of healthcare, in the aspect of education. Every aspect, corruption is really increasing. When we come to the issue of employment, as an official or as a person with holding an official position, when you are given the opportunity to follow criteria in order to do employment, you will see that personal gain will come in. That such a person would rather put in some of his family members or a great number of his family members than to follow the merit. The way out for this, it begins with an individual. Our aspect of morality. We have to be morally right. If you are morally right, then you may not be, there is every tendency you will not be a corrupt person. And also, religious leaders should key into that, should educate their members of being corrupt-free. So it starts with morality. We have to be morally right, know everything that the religion permits. ICPC are really trying, but I think they should put more effort. When someone is corrupt and such a person has been, identified, such a person should be brought to book. No punishment is being given. That's why people are continuing with their attitude of corruption.
To me, I can say corruption is decreasing in Nigeria drastically. There is a clear evidence on ground that corruption is reducing drastically in the country because of the following measures that were put in place by the federal government. For example, number one, ICPC is there fighting corruption. We also have EFCC, they are fighting corruption. And then also with the introduction of this IPPS in all federal government parastatals, it is a way of coping corruption. And there is clear cases on ground that all federal government agencies, both universities, all governments, in fact, they are making a lot of revenue because of all these measures that were put in place. And then secondly, with the introduction of this treasurer single account, that is TSA, corruption in the country is dropping significantly because all federal government revenue collected are being channeled to one account. It is clearly shows that before it is not so. It is dropping. During the former governor of CBN, that is Charles Soludo, he was able to recapitalize all banks. That's 25 billion capital base. All banking industries are now threatened. So there is no how. And then also the banking industry, they were able to introduce this BVN, that is bank verification number, whereby if you have multiple accounts, you happen to steal funds, they can monitor your funds. They can checkmate all the movement of money, both in and out in the country.
In fact, corruption is winning, I can say, in Nigeria. In fact, as we are now, in fact, when the whole society does not even see the value of human being, except when it is measured by what a human being can impact, present in terms of material resources, where no matter how he acquired it, no matter how he got it, then that is how you are valued. When in fact nobody, the son of nobody cannot become anything in this country without actually knowing anybody, or without allowing him or herself to be manipulated or used, or without serving or protecting the interests of someone who is very corrupt and rotten, then you don't become anybody. Then honestly, we can't say we are winning. In fact, the thing has deteriorated to such a level, even within our family levels. Yeah, as parents, even your children no longer respect you unless you have resources to offer them. Or even among spouses too, the whole family will be looking up to what resources the man possesses before giving them their daughters. So in fact, corruption has engulfed the whole, in fact, has gone into the very recesses of our society. And then in fact, there is no way saying corruption has decreased. It is rather it has increased, it is winning, it is growing, and it is engulfing all of us. Well, the way out is, corruption has become multifaceted from the smallest unit of a society, that is the family, to the larger society. So therefore, any solution to corruption in Nigeria has to be multifaceted and then multidimensional, starting from all impact, all the nooks and crannies, beginning with the very nucleus of our society through orientation and then re-education, impact, even redesigning our educational system. I tend to agree with our former president when he said, unless something is done about looting or stealing public money, in fact, the next generation of Nigerians will grow to see that it is a career. So therefore, in fact, that is how it and that is exactly how it is.
I strongly believe we are not just making progress, we have made a whole lot of progress with respect to the fight against corruption in Nigeria. And it's very easy for me to talk about, especially in terms of having a very solid role model close to me, which is in the person of our Director General, CEO, Professor Mohammed Nasiru Sambu. One of the challenges we've had, not veering away from the issue, is challenge of leadership. In most cases, people are just coming to organizations, they're just used to doing their jobs. And when they get to the higher level of leadership, there's a disconnect. They wonder why things are not working. They only know how to do their jobs, they don't know how to lead. My DG as a role model has taken a lot of time to put in efforts on sensitization of staff, on leadership. I was at a program last week, a leadership capacity building program. We were making 3 presentations a day, all about leadership, and leadership awareness. There are some things that even constitute corruption that people don't know. not because they are guilty or anything, but out of naivety, you can just, everybody in NHIS has a clear idea of what constitutes corruption. The Act 2 under the Reforms Unit carries out a system study with a view to identifying loopholes for correction, and it promptly recommends to management, which is also promptly approved. And that can be evident. It's not just me talking because I'm a staff of NHIA. In 2021 and 2022, the NHIA has a parastatal, one of the best parastatal in Team A. Servicom-wise, we're talking of service delivery, and a chief executive that is spearheading the organization to service excellence. And like you may also be aware, the Act 2 Unit 2 were off the ICPC watch list because of their over 74% score in the ICPC rating. So when you look at this organization as a subset of organizations, and I believe there might be other organizations that are trying to catch up with what NHIA is doing. So if we can have this happening here, it will be happening in other places, and that gives me a lot of hope for the country.
The fight against corruption has faced many challenges, such as the apathy of the citizens, inadequate funding, amongst others. However, ICPC and sister agencies are steadily surmounting these challenges. Going forward, the Commission is braced up with new visions and strategies to navigate the ever-dynamic world of anti-corruption, especially in view of the current world challenges. If we stand for what is right, then we can prevent this disease called corruption. That's all on this week's edition of the program. Keep a date with us, same time, same station next week. Call us toll-free on the numbers showing on your screen to report corrupt acts you know. Also, follow us on our social media handles as displayed on the screen. I am Hawasani Garba, saying bye for now.